Hello friends! So in today's video I'm going to just get straight into it and pretend like I haven't taken a 2-month hiatus on this channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because I'm actually going to venture outside my house. You're going to see the rest of my body. I am in fact not a talking head, believe it or not. I always think it's a bit weird when you see YouTubers who usually you just see their faces and then you see their bodies, and it's always like, oh, like I didn't envision you like that. So you guys are going to see me today. Because yeah, I am going to a farm sanctuary in this video, if you haven't already figured that out from the title and the thumbnail. I'm going to talk about my experiences, showing you what I did there, and also at the end of the video I'm going to give you my reflections on how this has affected my views on vegan activism in general. By the way, you can't see it, but do you like my shirt? It says, "Meat is violence. Represent." Also, on a personal note, I just want to say that I acknowledge that I've been lying to you guys. I have deceived you, and I need to apologize for that right now because I do not actually look like this. You may think that I look like this, but I don't. The reason why I'm saying this is because normally in my videos, you know, I put on a bit of makeup, you know, I have good lighting, I'm in front of a window, and I have a couple soft boxes. You know, I try to look decent, right? Because all you're looking at is my face. It may as well look decent. But yeah, in this footage, I just think it's so funny, the contrast between like YouTube me and then just me at a farm sanctuary, because I didn't get the memo, but I thought that when you go to a farm, you don't dress good. Like, I was wearing splash pants, I was wearing a raincoat that belonged to my brother when he was 8 years old. Okay, he's like 30 now. So yeah, I didn't do no makeup, like I didn't do my hair, like I looked like trash, and then I get there and everyone else is dressed normally. So yeah, the contrast between YouTube me and farm sanctuary me, it's stark, okay? I acknowledge that, and I think it's pretty funny. So I just wanted to beat you guys to the punch because I know some people are gonna say, wow, Tofu Goddess is actually hideous. Like, I know, okay? I know, you don't need to say anything. I should also mention that the people that I was there with, like, you don't really see anyone but they were my fellow employees at where I work. But anyway, I want you to cast aside all notions of what you think a work visit to a farm sanctuary may be, because let me tell you something. A work visit at a farm sanctuary is one thing and one thing only, and that's shovel and poop. That's all it is. And I knew that getting into it, but I didn't know how bad it was gonna be until I got there. So insert a montage of me shoveling poop. Oh, I can't get it. There we go, I got it.
How did that make you feel?
Shitty.
Hey guys, I'm coming at you from a giant pile of poop that actually provides a really nice view of the area. I would imagine it would look a lot better if it wasn't so cloudy and muddy and rainy out today, but it is what it is. So far, my work has consisted of just shoveling a lot of poop, so I should get back to it, but look at those little piggies.
There was actually another building in which I was shoveling poop, but I didn't get the chance to like record any of me doing that because it was the Pigpen and it was the last building, and oh my goodness, like the air in there burned my throat. I couldn't breathe and I felt like I was gonna pass out or throw up. Like, I don't know which one was coming first, but one of those was coming. So I had to just get out of there, and I just sat outside while everyone else was working. I felt really bad about it, but like I literally couldn't do it. So if you're the type of person who's used to a farm, it's probably fine. But if that's like your first experience in a pig pen area, then you've been warned. I'm also kind of a weenie. Like, I pass out or I get lightheaded at the sight of blood. Even if I think about my own internal organs for too long, I start getting like queasy. So yeah, like I said, I'm a total weenie, so that probably wouldn't happen to you, but just you've been warned. But I also want to highlight that there were some fun times, like hanging out with these goats. So far, the goats are definitely my favorite. They're really spunky. Oh, hi! And this little cat here is cute too. Oh, hi! Whoa!
Oh, the donkey's making an appearance.
Don't nibble. This guy keeps trying to like chew my hair and get right up in my face. Okay, don't nibble! They're nibbling my camera bag. Hey, stop doing that. Stop. Oh, you want me to butt you back? Yeah. Didn't think so. You think I'm a snack?
Over.
Yeah. Look how big that cow is.
I'll grab him now.
It's like unreal how massive that cow is. I don't think you can appreciate just
If we are, we should do that
like
now.
how bad cows are for the environment, and it doesn't make sense until you see them. Like, wow, yeah, it makes sense that they produce so much waste and methane and use so much water and grain because they're freaking massive. This little baby. Oh, just a baby. Just a baby. And also what was super fun was feeding this baby sheep. He was so cute, I wanted to steal him. There was also a vegan potluck at the end, which was actually pretty good because I work at a vegan establishment. I'm not going to clarify if it's a bakery, a cafe, a restaurant, or whatever, because, you know, internet safety.
Oh, hello there. I just befriended a stranger online. You could do this as well, with these safety tips. The internet is a scary place after all, but follow these 3 tips and you'll be safe. Tip number 1, never give out your address to anyone online.
But yeah, so that was actually pretty decent, and what made it so fun was that baby sheep I mentioned was just like walking around, and there was other animals too, like a turkey and a pig and like cats, so that was kind of fun. I mean, it was fun until like you're eating and you just see these animals like pooping, kind of like ruins, you know, the food a little bit, but you know, the animals were cute, so I didn't mind that much. Another thing I just wanted to touch on quickly was how bizarre it was to be at this farm sanctuary, and then across the street we can see these cows at a farm, I guess for like beef, like they weren't like dairy cows, and they were free range, but like, you know what fate is coming to them. And even on the way there and on the way back, there were so many factory farms. They were inconspicuous windowless sheds far away from the road. If you didn't know any better, you might think they were meant to hold farm equipment or some other inanimate objects, but never living beings. Just the juxtaposition of the farm sanctuary and all these farms and factory farms was really, like I said, just really bizarre, and the reality of the world we live in. It was a stark reminder of all the work we still have to do, as beautiful as it is to see these animals living in their happily ever after. So, what does this mean for vegan activism, in my opinion? Okay, let me just say this. A farm sanctuary is a lot of work. So much work. There was 8 of us, and we worked for 3 hours just cleaning like all of the animal pens. That's a lot for like one person who's usually running it. This farm sanctuary, they have work visits like this, so they get a lot of volunteers coming in, and even the owner of the farm sanctuary said her advice is don't start a farm sanctuary. Granted, she's been doing this for 20 years, so I understand that she's a bit tired, but I think it takes a very special type of person to actually do that and be successful in the long run. The owner talked about how there's been a lot more farm sanctuaries popping up, and I asked her, you know, why do you think this is? Do you think it's just because veganism is on the rise? Because when she started this sanctuary 20 years ago, she was the only one doing it. And in her opinion, she thought because it's just trendy to do it, but I mean, so is veganism, and more people are going vegan, so who knows? I mean, more people are doing sanctuaries. They're doing the micro sanctuaries, which might be a better option than just a full scale sanctuary because it is so much work. And I can't help but think, is there better ways that people could be spending their time? Of all these people performing this hard physical labor, if they spent that time and that energy in other forms of activism, would that be effective? Is even helping to run a farm sanctuary activism? Now, of course, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. Of course, like living in a sanctuary is extremely meaningful to the animals. It makes a big difference to them. It's the compassionate thing to do. I'm talking purely from an activism standpoint. If you're vegan and you want to help veganism, is volunteering at a farm sanctuary going to benefit veganism? Of course it benefits the animals and the people running the farm sanctuary. Of course, it's still a very charitable thing to do, but I'm just talking about vegan activism specifically. Of course, I understand that people say, you know, people visit farm sanctuaries, they get to actually interact with the animals, and that might inspire them to go vegan. Sure, I totally see that component. I've made a video on this before in the past, just talking about farm sanctuaries in general, and, you know, are they not kind of like petting zoos? But, you know, how do you balance trying to raise awareness for the animals and bring in money for your farm sanctuary so you can run it and not exploiting the animals? Because yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to touch on, is that running a farm sanctuary is running a business. You need to pull in so much money to run a farm sanctuary, especially if you're pulling in or bringing in animals that are sick or disabled because, you know, the owners didn't want them, and that's how they ended up at the sanctuary in the first place. Typically, farmers don't give up healthy animals, right? So you need to acquire funds, and whether that's through open houses where people can come and see the animals, and it, you know, at that point it kind of becomes a bit of a petting zoo, or bake sales, or social media campaigns to raise funds. Whatever it is, you need money and you need to run a business. I think a lot of people might romanticize farm sanctuaries and think it's like, oh, you just get to play with animals and feed animals and shovel some hay and that's it, and the money is just gonna roll in. No, no, it is so much work on every level. And I'm not saying that I'm like the expert. I worked there for a few hours and now I know everything, but those few hours were arduous. It was not easy. And just listening to the owner talk about how she needs to run it like a business too really gave me a lot of insight. So yes, I understand that bringing people into farm sanctuaries might expose them to animals when they would otherwise never be exposed to these animals, and they might make that connection, that ethical connection. But, you know, I could argue in that case you don't actually need a ton of animals in your farm sanctuary. Maybe you only need to rescue like one of each kind, like one pig, one cow, one goat, one chicken, whatever else you have at a farm sanctuary to like allow people to make that connection. There's no need from an activism standpoint to bring in a ton of animals, because the reality of the situation is spending 3 hours shoveling poop is not beneficial to veganism as a whole. And I guess I have a minor concern that since like farm sanctuaries are becoming more trendy, as the owner of this one put it, and more people are doing like micro sanctuaries, so they just have like a couple animals, like that's still extremely time consuming and extremely expensive. And just imagine if you spent that time and that money on other things. Like maybe that would wind up getting more people to go vegan than running these sanctuaries. And so the point of this video, more or less, is not to discourage people from running a sanctuary. Like if that's your dream and you fully understand the work involved and the money that's going to be needed, then you go for it. Like I'm not telling you to stop, because like I said, on an individual level, of course it matters to the animals and it's an extremely compassionate thing to do, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about veganism as a whole. I would just say though, maybe also consider your own talents. Is there a better way you could be spending your time? We need these industries to come to an end, and that will require us to spend time and money putting effort towards that. I'm just trying to look at this from the lens of what's best for veganism as a movement. And I don't have all the answers. I'm just hoping that I will prompt some good discussion and even just get people thinking. That's always what I want to do on this channel. My goal is never to tell people that these are the answers and this is the way to think. I mean, obviously I have an opinion on things, but honestly, as long as I get people thinking about things maybe they hadn't considered before, or just provide a new perspective, I consider this channel a success. Okay, so that's all I have to say about that. Hopefully I can edit this down into something coherent. I always feel like as I'm recording, I'm just rambling on and it's gonna be awful, but I usually manage to edit it into something okay. Yeah, feel free to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm pretty active on those platforms, and that's it. I always feel like I'm asking you guys to do so much stuff, but like us YouTubers, we're so thirsty for that engagement. Okay, oh yeah, also leave your comments down below. And okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. What was that? What the? I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna do the wink and the pointer thing, finger things. I don't know what's wrong with me.